So Macau Roadsport Challenge cars have left pit lane. They've got half an hour of free practice on this day one of a two-weekend event this year, celebrating the 70th Macau Grand Prix. Now, the Macau Roadsport Challenge is one of the mainstays of the calendar from year to year of the Macau Grand Prix, but has a slightly different look this year. The regulations involve Subarus and Toyotas this year, and for many years we've had a bit of a mix of Subarus and Mitsubishis and all sorts of different manufacturers, David. This year it is predominantly Toyota GR86s, which we've got taken to the circuit for the Roadsport Challenge, but they are joined by some Subarus as well, so maybe half a dozen Subarus.
Yeah, the regulations, as you say, now, rather than it being a sort of open house, are, and possibly this is to modernise it, but also have a more Group N type feel to the regulations. It is purely for Toyota GR86s and the Subaru BRZ. Now, the Macau Roadsport Championship runs over 4 double-header events, and you take part in that, and therefore qualify for the 2 races over the Grand Prix weekend. Now, at the end of the 4 race
prize, isn't it?
It is. At the end of the 4 race championship, drivers in Group A or Group B who are 16th or lower race in the Roadsport Challenge this weekend, and those that are in the top 15 in Group A or Group B go into the 70th anniversary challenge next week. So to say that this is for the not so successful drivers is true enough, but you have got some race winners in this. But the race that will have the same cars, the Subarus and the Toyotas, next weekend is for those that have done better within the championship. But as I say, we've still got 1, 2, 3 drivers that have taken outright race wins this year, but for myriad reasons haven't been able to feature in the championship. Again, though, even though these are very much the local amateur drivers, car presentation absolutely outstanding, and you can anticipate that we're going to have a really interesting race here with 1 or 2 new names on the Macau winners list.
It's also quite interesting to see new cars on the gear circuit, isn't it? We've not seen the Toyotas take to the Macau circuit before, and a good-looking car, and as you say, quite rightly, the thought that goes into the livery, the presentation of the cars for this weekend, it's a big part of it. It's a huge thing for local drivers, local teams to be competing around the gear circuit. They really only have one opportunity to compete here a year. It is for the Macau Grand Prix weekend, which is normally 4 days and 1 weekend. We've got the added bonus of having 2 weekends this year, this weekend and next weekend, and that celebrates the decade. So we had a 2-weekender for the 60th celebration, another one for the 70th celebration, and make no mistake, next weekend is going to be pretty special. But just being on the gear circuit is going to be pretty special for these drivers, just to be able to compete on the circuit that is in their region, where they live in the world, be it from Hong Kong, from China, or from Macau. To compete on the gear circuit is something very special if you're a race driver, and therefore the thought that goes into the presentation of the cars is not just by accident. They get sponsors for this weekend like no other, and all reflected on the bright and shiny liveries that we've got.
Absolutely right. 21 there is Ivan Sito, Hong Kong driver with his Toyota GR86. 30 minutes for the session. Keep off the wall, keep out of trouble. We've had lots of red flags already today, with neither of the previous sessions actually going to a checkered flag. They've both been abandoned early because of late session stoppages, but one hopes that the Roadsport drivers will be attentive, and at the end of this lap we'll start to get 1 or 2 lap times offered up, so we can start to see really what these cars are going to be capable of. Of course, the Roadsport Challenge in recent years has been a real mix of car. 1 or 2 older shapes, but it has, even though they've been called road sports, allowed levels of modification that these cars don't allow. These are far more, if you like, improved production, Group N style. Yes, they're quick, yes, they're proper racing cars, but they are far more standard than some of the modified production saloon type regulations that we've seen over the years. And as number 2, Rolly Sham, comes up towards the line, ahead of him to set the benchmark time is Ivan Cito, and he does a 2:58.5 then as the first flying lap time. But behind him, it's not that busy as yet. Somewhere out on the mountain course, I think, there's going to be a whole wave of cars because we've lost them all.
Yeah, they're in splendid isolation at the moment, aren't they? So that's the car that's currently top of the times, Ivan Cito, who has completed just 1 flying lap. But only those 2 cars have completed their flying lap. So there is a bit of a queue, as David said, running up towards the Macau hairpin and then to the final section of the circuit. Well, the first of those comes through now, and that's the 66 car, goes 3rd. Cha Da Ching in the Subaru. Say half a dozen Subarus in this field. The rest of them all Toyota GR86s.
Yeah, the Subaru hasn't caught on in quite the same way, has it? But that's not to say that they're not going to be quick.
I like the look of the GR86 on the circuit. We got so used to watching the back of Mitsubishis, didn't we, with Evo 8s, 9s, 10s that we've been running for the last 10 years at least around the Macau circuit, and doing a great job, and beyond as well. But with just Toyotas and Subarus, go on.
Now, we've got the car there that's hit the wall. If you look at the suspension, it's all crabbing.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what he's managed to hit, because he's presumably either gone very, very wide going through reservoir and then come across the road, or something has broken. But there's the answer. He has been accosted. So 41 is involved. That's Vincent Ip. And who's the other one? 66, was that?
I think was it 86?
Possibly.
I'm not sure.
We're about to find out how the accident happened. There's contact coming into the corner. Kabam, that's a very big hit.
It was a big hit, yeah.
And across the road and then hiding out of sight. But the contact from Vincent Ip. So the session carries on, because both of those cars, for the moment, out of harm's way. If it was 86, it was Yu Kam Chung, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I'm not sure. No, there's too much debris on the circuit, isn't there? Yeah, so a red flag, I'm afraid. So the session halted. Cars on their way back to pit lane. Only with 1 flying lap completed. And we have now, this is the 3rd free practice session of day 1. And we've yet to complete 1 session without a single intervention from the red flag. So that's the car that sits on top, Ivan Cito, in his Toyota 2:58.546. Yeah, there was quite a lot of debris on the circuit as well, wasn't there? So even if the cars could be out of harm's way and be recovered while the cars were still going around, there's still a fair bit of sweeping to be done. And that was, as you say, that was a pretty hard hit, wasn't it, into the barrier?
It was. I don't think that car's going to come back out again.
No.
Because, qualifying or a race, that was a very, very big hit. So everybody back to the pit lane. And Yu Kam Chung, the Hong Kong driver.
It was, yeah.
With a very badly damaged car indeed.
Yeah. So 2 cars involved, Yu Kam Chung and Vincent Ip, and the rest of the field making their way back to pit lane once again. And it being free practice, the clock will continue to count down. So under 20 minutes now. It's just gone under 20 minutes, so we're into the 2nd third of this free practice session.
Number 8 of Tam Ying Fat, that car being pushed backwards, ready to resume. There is the car that's topping the times at the moment, the Yu Fung Store entry of Ivan Cito.
See what I mean by the fact that this weekend can attract so many sponsors.
Yeah.
And the car absolutely coated with sponsors is a really good thing to see, because it's not just local television coverage that they get, it's not just the local crowd that pour in and fill the grandstands over the course of this weekend and next weekend. It's global TV. It's a global live stream in multiple languages. I said rather stupidly when we were coming to the boxes, the commentary boxes this morning, you said, how many commentary boxes are here? And I said, I don't know, about a dozen. Well, I've counted them. It's about a dozen and you get halfway.
Yeah.
It's a huge amount of commentary boxes which have all sorts of different languages that cover over the live stream and go to various different parts of the world. And it always impresses me greatly that the Macau Grand Prix weekend is very often on the same weekend as a Formula One Grand Prix. And the amount of teams that watch the action from Macau whilst at the Grand Prix, which historically has been the US Grand Prix, but is not this weekend. It's the next weekend. It's the Las Vegas Grand Prix, isn't it, for the first time? But the Formula One teams absolutely love tuning in and finding out what's going on here, because it is such a unique event.
Absolutely.
There's nothing like it in the world.
And you also know that when there's drama, it's big drama, because it's rare that you have a small off here. And those are two crippled cars, one very badly damaged indeed. Lo Hung Pugh gets set to rejoin the session. He has been a regular in the championship this year in the 778 Autosport car. There, number 53, being pushed back.
Long.
Yeah. Mike, as he has westernised himself, you saw on the side of the car. But many of the drivers do. They take a sort of Western first name. There, number 9, Sunny Ko. And 77, the car of Lam Hong Fai.
Yeah, that was one that when we were looking at the cars yesterday to identify liveries and that sort of thing, you did need spectacles, sunglasses to have a look at it. It really is very bright indeed. 66 is the car of Che Da-Xing, and away for the cameras is big. It's a big moment when the television cameras come into view and the cars are down in pit lane or in the paddock. A wave to the crowd is a wave to their sponsors, is a wave to their friends and family. It's a big moment for a racing driver, a local racing driver, to be competing here. It's a big thing for international drivers to be competing.
Well, very true, yes. 23 is Wong Cheng Tong, who has taken a win this year in the Roadsport Challenge Championship. 54 of Chang Ka-ping talking to the team. Number 29, the Macanese driver, Lo Hugh Fong, gets set to go.
Session's going to get underway on short call, so that's good news. That means that they have cleared everything, and we could well get a 20-second. Well, they haven't quite cleared everything, but they need to be standing by. They're not well, are they?
That car ain't going to be out again.
No, I think you might be right.
That's just wrecked. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
the suspension has gone, the shell has gone.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very big hit, which is sad to see on day one, isn't it?
Yeah.
So 2 recovery vehicles recovered, 2 stricken cars. What about the 41 car, the car of Vincent Titt?
That didn't look too bad.
Didn't look too bad.
I think that's more suspension.
Yeah.
But he might get looked at for an involvement in the incident, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
22, Lam Kan San, the Macanese driver, gets ready to go. And a bit of sweeping up on the outside, but it shows you how much force there was in that accident, because the barrier that he hit was on the left as you look, and the car ended up on the far right, even out of shot, sort of went in the gap. So
went across 4 carriageways.
Yes, quite indeed. Big hit indeed. Number 9 then, Sunny Ko, getting ready to rejoin the session. And because this is, as Alan has rightly said, a free practice session, the clock carries on ticking. If we end up with this situation in the qualifying part of the day, the clock will stop. But there isn't an endless amount of time here, because the roads have to open bang on 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock until 6 o'clock the circuit has it, and 6 o'clock until 6 o'clock normal life has it, and it's a quite bizarre experience. If you want to do a track walk, that's a really difficult thing to do, because when it's a track, it's active, and when it's not a track, it's active with everyday cars, buses, motorbikes, and you take your life in your hands when you do a track walk. I've done one once. It was a very hot experience. I wish I'd taken more water. Don't do it in the heat of the day. Things I learnt the first year I came to Macau.
Well, at the start of the week, there was the fun run. Was it on Monday?
Yes.
With people taking
right.
part, about 2,000 people, I think, doing the run around the circuit, which is 6 kilometres and change.
You'd have liked that.
I would.
Yeah.
I was planning on doing it if I could have done it, at the end of activity before 6 o'clock. But circumstances have rather changed that. Right, the wrecked car there, you can see of Yu Kam Chung is on the back of the flatbed. Slippery track at pit exit, the teams are being warned about because liquid spilt from that car will be down on the ground, but the car just being secured, and in a moment that will leave the track and we'll be ready for the resumption of the session. So they're going to get probably 12.5 minutes realistically. That's about your lot, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And they'll be keen to get back out on track just as soon as they possibly can to make the most of free practice. When do they qualify? Well, they qualify today at 1:15. So there is precious little time to repair damaged cars between now and the start of qualifying. This condensed 2-day first weekend sees free practice and qualifying all happening today, and racing from 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. How do we go racing from 8 o'clock tomorrow morning? Because we have a qualification race for the F4 cars. They have been the headline event for the last 3 years here at Macau, and they'll be getting up bright and early to have an 8-lap race at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, and then the final race at 3:40 tomorrow afternoon, again Formula 4. These cars tomorrow will race at 10:20 in the morning, and they qualify this afternoon at 1:15. Local time here, 9:53 in the morning. Sunny, a little bit hazy, sun glinting down on the water on the far side of the paddock where normal day-to-day Macau life continues, and they are on short call. The cars we know have both been recovered on the back of recovery vehicles heading back to the paddock, so as soon as they go we can go green, and we do. So green flag is waved and the session back underway over just under 12 minutes of the session.
So it's all a bit frantic, people trying to get out and make sure that they have got clear track space. But honestly, I wouldn't worry about doing a time here. Just learn the circuit, just get the mileage in, get the confidence up.
Yeah.
Now is not the time to be a hero. We've just seen one or two drivers being caught out. Now people almost tripping over themselves in their zealotry to leave the pit lane. So the mixed grid of Toyota GR86s, Subaru BRZs then leaves the pit lane, and the road becomes busy once more as the drivers head down towards the fast right Mandarin.
I wish they'd calm down a little bit, actually, because they have all left at the same time, haven't they? And if there's going to be a problem, it's going to be when you've got so many cars running in such close proximity.
But you know what people think?
I know.
I'll get ahead of him, I'll get ahead of him, I'll push on, then I've got the track to myself, and while they're doing that, without building up tyre warmth or pressure, strife can suddenly be encountered.
Well, let's hope it doesn't.
Indeed so.
Let's keep our fingers crossed.
So far, so good. They've got around 2 corners.
They have done, and 2 tricky ones as well.
Indeed, indeed. So Ivan Sito and Roli Sham are the 2 at the top of the times, and the 3rd placed driver currently is Chen Da-Xing, and then 4th it is Lo Hun Pugh.
So Ivan Sito is top of the times with only those 2 flying laps completed before we have the intervention of the red flag, and with under 10 minutes of the session remaining, remarkably, with only 2 flying laps on the board, we're into the final third of this half-an-hour session, and it's a busy one. So for this final third, I think it's going to remain pretty busy like this. All of the cars leaving the pit lane at the same time. There would have been a fair bit of heat still in the tyres, so they don't have the same front cold heating up the tyres that they had at the start of the session. But they'll be, I think, pretty much going to be going straight on to quite a meaningful lap at the end of this one.
Now there you see, again, you've got that problem of one driver trying to back off, get warmth into the tyres, others trying to push and almost meeting in the middle, but I think they've sorted themselves out. 66, Chendar Singh was the one slowing a little bit.
Because in these situations they utilise overtaking positions that aren't normally overtaking positions, so yeah, just to get that track position.
You see it in so many categories these days, people slow and look to try to get clear track space. There are regulations now in place at certain circuits that you can't do it in given parts, because all it does is create drama behind.
Yes.
But with what we've got 8.5 minutes of the session to go, they're going to get probably one flying lap in at this rate, maybe two if they're lucky, if they're at the head of the queue. That's a great shot though, that, isn't it? Shows you how busy the road is, and that just exudes Macau. The crane, the hairpin, the tightness, the proximity of the barriers, the high-rise buildings towering over the circuit.
To be honest, as soon as I see the yellow and black barriers, it's a feeling. And I came over the bridge, this amazing bridge that runs from Hong Kong International Airport that you used yesterday. It's only been in operation for 5 years, I think, and it's only the second time that I've been on it. But to get to my hotel, we had to go, the driver went on the track, and they were testing the lights. Okay. So we went underneath the starting gantry, and the red lights were on.
Did he slow down?
So he didn't slow down. I sped up to try and get my phone out to get the shot. I did just in time. You do feel special. I was only in a taxi.
Oh, I'll tell you. Well, I mean, last night it was dark when I arrived, and yes, coming over the line, over the buildings. But where else can you suddenly turn a corner and you're on a racetrack?
It's so
very,
cool,
very few
isn't
places.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
This is such a unique place, and the yellow and black, the corporate colours of the Macau Grand Prix, are just so evocative. As soon as you see a picture, you know exactly where you are in the world.
And the good thing is that everybody in Macau embraces it. It's not like some street races where it's still considered an interruption, a burden, a frustration. Yes, okay, it does affect what you can do between 6 and 6. But the benefits and also the history of it are such that everybody just, it's great. It's racing car week.
And on the plus side, you don't need to set your alarm clock. No. You will be waking up at 7:30, whatever happens.
Well, actually 4:30, because the man outside my window clanging barriers into place this morning had a fair old range with his hammer.
Did he, by Joe?
He did. But anyway, hopefully the barriers won't have been affected too much and they won't need clanging back into place tomorrow morning. At the moment there, you can see number 29, which is Lau Yu Fong, Macanese driver. 84 in the back of that shot is Chan Chat Yin, another of the Hong Kong contingent, and another of the Toyota drivers that we have on track for the Macau Roadsport Challenge. And it's quite a nice way that they've done this, of splitting the championship, if you like, in half. So the top 15 drivers from A and B groups race next week, but it gives these drivers a chance to actually pitch for an outright win and on the gear circuit, which isn't something that ordinarily they would do. Then for the scraps, here they can absolutely fight for a race win.
Well, that's one of the family standing on the podium at Macau, and as of last year, we've got this very impressive, still in the same place, but we've got this newly designed podium with a huge LED screen. It's massive, absolutely immense. It goes up, we can't see the top, but it's as tall as it is wide, and it's a very impressive new podium that we've got here. Every year at Macau, something is new. Yeah, it's true. And they've thought about something and thought, okay, well, so this year we've got this new building that we've been talking about for the press, for the world's press, and that involves as well the backdrop to the interview table for the top three is another huge LED screen. Right. So it's all the attention to making the Macau Grand Prix a more and more immersive experience for fans around the world. It's hugely impressive.
Because the international reach grows and it grows and it grows, and in the days now of social media, of live stream, of being able to watch it wherever, whenever and however in the world, it's no wonder that Macau is taken to a far, far bigger audience. It's not something that happened at a weekend and then you might read about later in the week.
No, that's true.
In the motorsport press. Right, we have got now 4.5 minutes on the clock, and nice little battle pack there, look, going through a reservoir. That's how it should be done, where the cars are able to run together closely, and they're starting now a flying lap as number 29 heads
busy,
that queue.
Isn't it?
It is busy.
That's really busy.
but as long as they're all sensible about it. And number 2 in the background is Roly Sham, who is second in the times. So they, yeah. Oh, no, they're not being sensible because there's another one in the barrier, and he's going to hit another wall, and the driver behind slows and gets hit and gets turned around, and it's a mess, and that'll be another red flag. That was number 30 that didn't slow in time, Lo Hyung Pugh, and 2 separate accidents, red flag, and again, that's not going to be resumed, is it?
That's going to be the end, yeah. I was just about to say, they need to take care in a big pack like that, because otherwise we're not going to have any more improvements. And we didn't, because on the previous lap there were personal improvements, but no purple sectors, so no overall improvements. And the result of that is that we now have at least 2 very damaged cars that potentially won't be out for qualifying this afternoon.
Right, so have a look, because number 30 is the one that just doesn't slow and hits hard. So the bronze car, which there you can see gets shoveled around into the wall, had done the right thing by slowing and then got hit by Lo Hyung Pugh, who was on a quick lap. And again, the session will not be resumed.
And so the marshals will do their best to get the track clear as soon as is possible.
So which was the first one that we lost? Was it Chan Kar Ping 54 that was the blue and white one?
I don't know. We need another angle. I think so, yeah. I think it was.
I was kind of waiting for the next big impact rather than concentrating on numbers.
Yeah. I think you're right, but we'll wait until we see another camera angle, probably when the car is being lifted onto the recovery vehicle.
Lo Hyung Pugh, in a sense, the car just up the road there, has a case to answer because he was the one that didn't slow. But then I think he was pretty much unsighted anyway, and he was, in traffic. He wouldn't necessarily have known what was going on ahead.
So when we say there are cranes at every corner, there are. All of the corners where there are inevitably going to be incidents over the course of a Macau Grand Prix weekend, there are these huge bits of lifting equipment that are in place, ready to go. So we have a result, and it's an odd result because we've only had 5 laps.
Yeah, Ivan Sito tops the times from Roly Sham and Chen Da-Xing. 4th fastest now with damage. Lo Hyung Pugh ahead of Lam Hong Fai, and then 6th quickest Tse Ka Hing. 7th fastest Chan Kar Ping from Yun Chut Lun, Lam Kan San, and then Kenneth Wong rounding out the top 8 in the times. And again, there's going to be a bit of clearing up to be done. So that will eat into the next few minutes before we get cars back on track for the next session. And it's going to be time to turn our attention to GT cars next.